dear learners, welcome to the video tutorial on software engineering. Here we explain about software development lifecycle. So after learning this unit, you will be able to list the 7 steps in the system development lifecycle and associated activities for each step. Also, you are able to list various process models and activities. Nowadays, information systems are the support structure for meeting the company's strategies and goals. New systems are created because employees request it. New systems are created to obtain a competitive advantage. For software development, we are spending billions of dollars on acquisition, design, development, implementation, and maintenance of IT systems. Now, companies depend on information more than ever. System development lifecycle, which refers the structured step-by-step approach for developing information systems. So the typical activities include determining budgets, gathering business requirements, designing models, writing user documentation. The various phases of software development lifecycle are planning, analysis, design, development, testing, implementation, and maintenance. The activities coming under these phases are in planning, the activities takes place, define the system to be developed, set the project scope, develop the project plan. In analysis phase, which gather business requirements. In designing, design the technical architecture, design system models. Development phase, build technical architecture, database, and programs. In the testing phase, the detailed testing of the system takes place. That is, write test conditions, perform testing. Implementation. In here, in this phase, the activities like writing user manuals or user documentation and proper training of the employees takes place. Maintenance. Build a help desk or support system changes to keep the system maintained. System development lifecycle. The 7 phases are planning, analysis, design, development, testing, implementation, and maintenance. These are the connected activities in the planning phase, which involves determining a solid plan for developing your information system. 3 primary planning activities are define the system to be developed, set the project scope, that is clearly define the high-level system requirements and scope of the project increases and feature creep occurs when developers add extra features that were not part of the initial requirement. Then project scope document, a written definition of the project scope and is usually no longer than a paragraph. The third stage is develop the project plan including tasks, resources, and time frames. The second phase of the Sdlc is the analysis phase. In this phase, which involves end users and IT specialists working together to gather, understand, and document the business requirements for the proposed system. 2 primary analysis activities are gather the business requirements and prioritize the requirements. While gathering the requirements are divided into business requirements and joint application development. The detailed set of knowledge worker records that the system must meet in order to be successful. Knowledge workers and IT specialists meet sometimes for several days to define or review the business requirements for the system. While prioritizing the requirements, the business requirements and places them in a formal comprehensive document. In the design phase, which builds a technical blueprint of how the proposed system will work. 2 primary design activities are design the technical architecture, design system models. Technical architecture, which defines the hardware, software, and telecommunications equipment required to run the system. In the modeling, the following kinds of user interfaces are takes modeling of user interfaces are takes place. The activity of drawing is graphical representation of design, graphical user interface design, and GUI screen design. The fourth phase of SDLC, the actual development takes place, in which take all of your detailed design documents from the design phase and transform them into an actual system. Two primary development activities are build the technical architecture, build the database, and program. Both of these activities are mostly performed by the IT specialists. In the phase 5, testing, which verifies that the system works and meets all of the business requirements defined in the analysis phase. Two primary testing activities are write the test conditions, then perform the testing of the system. The test conditions are the detailed steps the system must perform along with the expected results of each step. The performing testing of the system in the following testing categories are the unit testing, system testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing. In unit testing, all the individual modules of the system is tested. In system testing, the every unit of code function correctly when integrated. In system testing verifies that the units of code function correctly when integrated. Integration testing verifies that separate systems work together. User acceptance test determines if the system satisfies the business requirements. In the implementation phase, they distribute the system to all the knowledge workers and they begin using the system to perform their everyday jobs. There are two primary implementation activities. First one, write detailed user documentation, which highlights the use of the system, components, and every module of the system. Second phase of implementation is to provide proper training for the system users, which are online training and workshop training. In online training runs over the internet or of a CD-ROM. Workshop training is held in a classroom environment and led by an instructor to explain them how to work with each part of the system. The instructor explains every function of the system in a proper way. While implementing the system, the technicians choose the right implementation method. Parallel implementation, plunge implementation, pilot implementation, phased implementation, which are the various implementation choices. In parallel implementation, which use both the old and new system simultaneously. Plunge implementation, which discards the old system completely and use the new one. Pilot implementation, start with small group of people on the new system and gradually add more users. Phased implementation, implement the new system in phases. The last phase of the software development lifecycle is the maintenance phase. In order to maintain or monitor and support the activities of new system to ensure it continues to meet the business goals. Two primary maintenance activities are to build a help desk team to support the system users, that is a help desk, which is a group of people who responds to knowledge workers' questions. Also, provide an environment to support system changes. Now, the various software development lifecycle models are Waterfall methods, rapid application development, extreme programming, and Agile methodology. These are the various Sdlc models. In Waterfall methodology, a sequential activity-based process in which each phase in the Sdlc is performed sequentially from planning through implementation. So various steps in Waterfall methodology are planning, analysis, design, development, testing, implementation, and maintenance. Each steps are formed or each step carries specific jobs one after the other in a sequence way. In rapid application development, emphasizes extensive user involvement in the rapid and evolutionary construction of working prototype of a system to accelerate the system development process. A prototype is a small scale representation or working model of a user requirement or user system or a proposed system for information for the initial working. In the rapid application development, the planning and analysis takes place. After that, the development testing, design development testing phases are the which are evolutionarily develops the proposed system, then implementing it. After the implementation is successful, which is deployed into the end users. Also, a maintenance team agrees or ensures the proper working of the system. The next model of software development life cycle or software development model is extreme programming. In extreme programming, which breaks a project into tiny phases and developers cannot continue on to the next phase until the first phase is complete. The next methodology is the Agile methodology. In this methodology, a form of extreme programming aims for customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery of useful software components. Next is prototyping. In prototyping, the process of building a model that demonstrates the features of a proposed product, service, or system. Proof of concept prototype and selling prototype. These are the two kinds of prototyping. The proof of concept prototype used to prove the technical feasibility of a proposed system and selling prototype used to convince the people of the worth of proposed system. In prototyping process, which involves four steps, identify basic requirements, develop initial prototype, user review, and revise and enhance the prototype. In the step 1, identification of basic requirements takes place. In the step 2, initial prototype is developed. Then step 3, the worker review. If the prototype is satisfied and accepted by the users, then the fourth step takes place, that is revise and enhance the prototype. After the final after the development of final system which is deployed to the customer. Advantages of prototyping. The prototyping encourages active user participation, which helps resolve discrepancies among users and gives users a feel for the final system, which helps determine technical feasibility and helps sell the idea of a proposed system. The main disadvantages of prototyping are which leads people to believe the final system will follow, gives no indication of performance under operational conditions, also leads the project team to forgo proper testing and documentation. This is the conclusion of this unit. The 7 steps in the Sdlc and associated activities are explained, and we describe the 4 system developing methodologies. I hope all of you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.